What's going on, everybody? Johnny Mac here. Thanks for tuning in. And in today's Outriders video, we're going to be going over the patch notes for the patch that dropped on the demo this past Friday. Going to be presenting a few of my own opinions, and stay tuned to the end of the video for a hint of semi-stealth improvement. Let's get into it. But before we do, if you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. I hope that you appreciate the content that I provided for you. And if you think I've earned your subscription, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button along with the notification bell to be notified when I make future uploads of content just like this one. I cover news, tips, tricks, and most importantly, builds whenever the full launch of the game comes out. I also have a link in the upper right hand corner of a build I've already done for the Technomancer for this game, and there's going to be plenty more in the future. So if you think I've earned it and you want to help my channel grow, hit that subscription button down below. You can also follow my content more closely by following the links down below to all my social media accounts, including Twitch, which I do stream regularly on Twitch and on YouTube itself. So be sure to follow those links down below as well. So first things first, let's go over the patch notes for this addition to the demo. The first thing they mention is that they added a motion blur toggle. This is a huge win for the development team, as this was largely based off of user feedback. There were many users experiencing some motion sickness, as well as graphical artifacts and performance issues across the board. And these performance issues weren't just on lower end cards. For a lot of people, they were actually experiencing graphical issues on higher end cards, such as myself, which I'm running a 2080 Super. And I found that by disabling the motion blur, I was actually able to stabilize my FPS, and the game runs a lot smoother. Next, they mention matchmaking improvements. This is pretty big, especially for console users who are trying to find players to group up with outside of their local session. From what I understand, console users were experiencing long delays and wait times with the matchmaking, sometimes the matchmaking even failing. So this was a big win for the development team as well. They further note that there are bug fixes and crash resolutions. Specifically, what they're referring to here is probably the largest topic and concern for the entire community: the disappearing inventory. They've stated they've isolated this issue and have patched it, except for on very rare occurrences. However, they did state that they are currently working on a resolution to provide a service to restore lost inventory. Until then, I highly recommend that you exit to your lobby and then return to your desktop or home screen that way in order to stay safe and to make sure that you don't lose any of those precious legendaries that you may have farmed by now. And next, they reference many more improvements. This is pretty general, and they don't exactly go into specifics as far as what those improvements are, but the one that they did mention was the dynamics with the banners. Now they actually wave in the air instead of being stagnant as if there's no wind. And also, if you run by the flag and you brush it with your character, the flag will actually respond to being touched, which I think is a pretty nice addition and offers some dynamics to the game that wasn't originally there and that we didn't actually know of. I've also managed to pick up a couple other improvements that weren't mentioned, but we'll get into those a little bit later. So let's dig into some of the back-end data that the developers have posted here recently, and that will ultimately lead into what I had mentioned just a moment ago about those other improvements that I spotted. A few days ago, the developers had posted some information on the backend data that they had collected, including the over 2 million players in the first week, which we already knew. But they also posted some other interesting little backend data bits, including 4 hours and 20 minutes average playtime per player, 31.8 million captain kills. Poor guy, didn't even stand a chance. Obviously, it's been considered and coveted as the #1 source of legendary farming. And then they also posted, most hours invested by one player at 254 hours. I don't know what this person's been doing, but for 254 hours, I'm sure they felt it worthwhile. Now let's tap into some information that I dug up on Steam charts. This information hasn't been presented by the developers, but as you can see, over the past month since launch, there's been a steady decline in the number of users playing. However, they've seemed to have leveled out over the past week or so, and considering that this is a demo and you're looking between an average of 4,000 to 7,000 players at any given time, that's actually extremely healthy for a demo. I can only imagine what it's going to be like whenever the actual game launches, and we're only talking about PC here. We're not even talking about the number of players that are playing concurrently across all the other platforms. So my point is that with all this data that's been collected and with all the user feedback that's been presented on their official Discord server, you can clearly tell that the developers are totally paying attention to the community and they want this game to succeed. They're not just putting out a product and saying, here you go, here's the finished product, deal with the bugs, deal with, whatever, and we'll fix the major issues so that way our game is just barely playable. And by the way, we'll take all your money. My opinion is that the developers have been doing an amazing job about not only only being transparent, but providing critical feedback to the end user, reflecting the changes that they're looking at, reflecting the changes that they are currently making or have made, and providing an overall end-to-end experience that in the genre in particular, and really in the gaming industry, has been pretty bleak as of late. And so this brings me to my final point of the video. There seems to have been some very drastic yet at the same time subtle, if that makes any sense, improvements to the graphical fidelity of the game. Whatever it is that the developers changed in the background, there seems to have been a large impact on the graphical fidelity of the game. As you can see here, I put up a side-by-side comparison of what the game rendered like before and after. Now in these first two photos, you can't see it quite as well unless you're very visually acute to such things, but in the next two images that I'm about to show you, you can clearly see in the before image that the beard on the NPC is extremely pixelated and just not rendered very well at all. But after the changes, the beard is actually very smooth and everything is rendered very well. Now, I don't have an example of this next issue I'm about to state, but because I play on a single PC with a dual monitor setup, there was this weird issue whenever you would tab out of the game screen, there would be this weird pixel jitter that was very noticeable and it was very unattractive. After the changes in this last patch, that seemed to completely resolve that issue. Not exactly sure what they did to, maybe it was some sort of optimization to the game client, or maybe it was just something to do with the motion blur. I don't know. But whatever it was, it definitely fixed the issue and it's much more aesthetically pleasing now. Alright everyone, that's going to do for the video today. I hope that you found this video helpful and provided some insight into the changes that have been made to the demo. If you're new to my channel, and you feel that I earned your subscription, don't forget to hit that like button and notification bell to be notified when I make future uploads of videos just like this one. And if you do subscribe, I greatly appreciate it as you're going to be part of helping my channel grow. And don't forget, subscribing is totally free. If at any time you get tired of hearing my voice, you can unsubscribe, no hurt feelings at all. And if you want to keep tabs on my content more closely, I've got links down in the description below that will take you to my social media accounts, including Twitter, and I've also provided links to my Twitch channel, so feel free to check those out as well. If you're a returning member, thank you for your continued support. Couldn't be here without you. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.